Her name was Emily, 19, sophomore at a state college, working late shifts at a coffee shop because tuition doesn't pay itself. Now, here's the thing about Emily. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't the type to go sneaking into graveyards at midnight or dare herself to spend the night in a haunted house. If you asked her friends, they'd say she was the sensible one, the planner, the girl who kept a to-do list taped to the fridge. Her flaw was simpler, practical. She was always in a hurry, always cutting corners, always looking for the shortcut. That night, she was tired, dragging the weight of a 12-hour day, carrying the smell of espresso on her clothes, her sneakers still wet from the storm that had passed through earlier. Her apartment was just 15 minutes away. If she cut through the hollow. You've heard of places like it. Every town has one. A sliver of woods too thin to be a forest, too tangled to be a park, an in-between place. This one ran behind the old textile mill, a building that hadn't seen a paycheck in 50 years. People said the hollow was faster. They also said it was strange, not haunted exactly, not cursed exactly, just wrong. A place where cell signals dropped, where the air always felt a little cooler, where footsteps seemed to echo louder than they should. Folks told stories, kids whispering in locker rooms, drunks at the bar after midnight, strange lights between the trees, a shadow that followed when no one else was there, the sound of breathing, close behind you, even when you were alone. Emily had heard the stories. Everyone had. But stories didn't scare her. What scared her was being late on rent. What scared her was not having time to study before her history exam. Practical fears, solid ones, the kind you could put your hands around. So when she reached the edge of the path, rain still dripping from the trees like the woods were weeping, she didn't hesitate. She pulled her backpack strap higher, exhaled, and stepped in. She thought she was saving herself 10 minutes. She thought she was choosing the smart way home. But here's the truth about shortcuts. Sometimes they don't cut the way you think. Sometimes they lead somewhere you were never supposed to go. And the hollow had been waiting for her. At first, it was just quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you think the world forgot to keep spinning. She walked faster, hands stuffed in her jacket, earbuds in, but no music playing. Just habit, just noise. And then she heard it. Not footsteps, not leaves. Laughter, faint, high-pitched, childlike. She froze, looked back. The path behind her was empty, nothing but trees slick with rain. She told herself it was the wind, or maybe a stray radio from the houses nearby. That's what people do, isn't it? We invent reasons, build walls of logic because the alternative is unbearable. But the hairs on her arms were standing up. She kept walking, the laughter followed, and then came the whispers. Not just sounds, words. Her name, Lee. Her throat went dry. Her feet moved faster. She didn't want to run. That would feel like admitting something was there. But her stride lengthened, her sneakers slapping the mud. Shadows slid between the trees, always at the edges of her vision, never straight on. When she turned her head, they darted back, too quick, too fluid. Her chest tightened. She fumbled for her phone, clutching at it like a lifeline. The screen glowed, a fragile rectangle of safety in the dark. She opened her Maps app, though she already knew the way. Anything to keep that light alive. But as the whispers grew louder, as the giggles sharpened into something jagged, her phone flickered. Died. Black screen. God, no. Her voice cracked, sounding too loud, too alone. She shoved the phone in her pocket, pushed forward. The path felt longer now, stretched thin like taffy. She should have been halfway through already. But the trees looked the same, dark, wet, endless, like she was walking in place. The whispers came again, louder, closer. This time they weren't just calling her name. They were chanting it, in a rhythm, in unison. Emily, Emily, Emily. Her heart hammered. She broke into a run, her breath tearing out of her in bursts. Mud splashed up her jeans, branches clawed at her jacket, and then something moved ahead, not behind, not beside, ahead on the path, a shape, small, still, blocking the way. She skidded to a halt, breath ragged, squinted into the dim glow of the moon slipping through branches. It was a girl, couldn't be more than 8, barefoot, hair hanging in wet ropes around her face. Emily opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The little girl tilted her head, slowly, too slowly, and smiled. Behind Emily, the whisper stopped. The silence that followed was worse, much worse, because in silence you hear your own heartbeat. You hear the dread crawling up your spine. Emily took a step back. The girl took a step forward. That was the moment Emily realized. The hollow wasn't empty. It never had been. And now, it wasn't going to let her leave. Now it wasn't whispers anymore. It was shrieking, high-pitched, like children screaming on a playground, except there was no joy in it, just hunger. The shadows weren't hiding anymore. They were running, darting tree to tree, too fast, too thin, too wrong. Emily broke into a sprint. Her lungs burned. Her sneakers slapped against the wet dirt. Her backpack thudded against her shoulders with every step. She could hear them, those voices, chasing, snapping at her heels, gnawing at the edges of her sanity. The shrieks grew louder, so loud it felt like they were inside her skull, reverberating in her bones. And then, light, the end of the path. The street lamps of town glowing through the thinning trees like a lighthouse cutting through storm. Emily's chest leapt. She pushed harder, legs pumping, every muscle screaming. Just a few more yards, just a little further. But the girl, the barefoot girl, was still there, closer now, standing in the middle of the path, smiling that same too wide smile. Emily veered, tried to dodge left, but the girl moved with her. Quick, instant, like a shadow glued to her motion. The shriek spiked. Branches bent and cracked around her, as if something enormous was forcing its way closer. Emily screamed, raw, animal. She lowered her shoulder and charged. The girl didn't move, didn't flinch. And when Emily hit her, there was nothing, no impact, no body, just cold. A cold so deep it tore the breath right out of her lungs, like plunging into an icy lake in the middle of winter. She stumbled, gasping, arms flailing. The girl was gone, but the path wasn't clear. Because now they were all there. Shapes, dozens, maybe more. Children, but not children. Thin bodies with faces too smooth, eyes too dark. Mouths stretched open in screams that made no sound, and every sound all at once. They stood between her and the light. Emily staggered back, chest heaving. Behind her, the forest was alive with movement, with shrieking. In front of her, the path was blocked, trapped. Her phone. Maybe if she tried again, she yanked it out, thumb pressing the button, praying for even a flicker of life. The screen stayed dead. The children began to move toward her, arms outstretched, not running, not lunging, just drifting forward like water filling a space. Emily's choices shrank to nothing. She could run back into the woods and be swallowed. She could stand here and be taken. Or she could fight. She grabbed a branch from the ground, thick and wet, bark scraping her palm, raised it like a weapon, though her hands shook so badly she could barely hold it. The first child thing reached her, its face inches from hers. Its mouth opened, impossibly wide, and she smelled it then. Rot, damp earth, and something sweet like spoiled fruit. Emily screamed again, this time with fury, and swung the branch with every ounce of strength she had. It connected, splintered. The figure burst apart, not blood, not flesh, just black smoke that hissed as it dissolved into the rain. The others stopped, just for a breath, just long enough for Emily to realize she had crossed a line. She could hurt them, but hurting them meant they would never, ever let her go. Emily exploded out of the hollow like she was breaking the surface of water. Street lamps, car horns, the glow of traffic and fast food signs. Normal life. She stumbled to the curb, bent double, chest heaving, her whole body shaking so hard she thought her bones might rattle apart. People moved past her on the sidewalk, laughing, carrying shopping bags, scrolling on their phones, oblivious. No one else heard the laughter that still echoed in her ears. Her phone buzzed back to life. A dim glow. 3% battery. Just enough. She clutched it like a lifeline, the sound of traffic pulling her back into reality. She thumbed to her messages, desperate for an anchor, for proof that the world she knew still existed. Her best friend, Kayla. She typed fast, fingers trembling. Don't ever cut through the hollow. Promise me. She hit send. The little delivered checkmark appeared, and she wanted to sob with relief. But then, her phone buzzed again. A reply, faster than it should have been. Too late. Emily's stomach dropped. She stared at the screen, her breath stuck in her throat. The message was from Kayla's number. Same contact photo, same thread, but the typing bubble appeared again before she could even think. We're waiting for you. Her hand went cold. She dropped the phone like it burned her, and it clattered on the wet sidewalk. Hey, you okay? A man's voice said. She jerked her head up. A stranger was standing a few feet away, holding a plastic grocery bag, frowning at her like she was some drunk college kid. His concern was normal, ordinary, human. Emily wanted to grab him, shake him, scream, "Don't you see? Don't you hear them?" But she didn't. She just nodded, forced out, "I'm fine," though her voice was paper thin. The man shrugged, walked on. Just like that. Back into his regular Tuesday night. Emily picked up her phone, screen cracked now, battery down to 2%. She shoved it in her pocket. Her legs felt rubbery, but she forced herself to move. One step, then another. The further she got from the hollow, the more the noise of town wrapped around her, cushioning her, hiding the echoes. But her mind wouldn't stop spinning. Had anyone else ever made it out? Was that why the stories were always whispers, half jokes, warnings no one really believed? Did the hollow choose her, or had she chosen it by stepping in? She reached her apartment at last, fumbled her key into the lock. The hallway smelled of microwave dinners and cheap carpet cleaner. Normal. Safe. Inside, she dropped her bag and slid to the floor, back against the door, tears hot on her face. She told herself it was over, that she was fine. But in the silence of her apartment, she could still hear it. That laughter. Faint. Distant, like it had followed her home. And that's when she noticed it. Her coat sleeve. Faint, tiny handprints, smudged in wet dirt. Not one. Not two. Dozens. Running from her wrist all the way up to her shoulder. Emily froze. Her first instinct was to brush at them, rub them out with the heel of her hand, but they didn't smear. They weren't dirt on the surface. They were pressed in, like something small had gripped her all the way down the path, fingers digging tighter the harder she ran. Her stomach turned. She stripped the coat off and shoved it into the darkest corner of her closet, shutting the door fast. Out of sight, out of mind. But it wasn't that simple, was it? The coat was just fabric. The marks were just stains. And yet, her skin remembered the feeling, invisible fingers brushing her arm, tugging, holding on. Emily never cut through the hollow again. She stuck to the sidewalks, to the long way home, even if it meant 20 minutes in the rain, even if it meant missing her bus. People joked she was paranoid. Friends teased her for clutching her phone like a weapon when she walked at night. She let them laugh. Better their laughter than the laughter she still heard in her head. Because sometimes, when the wind slipped between buildings just right, or when a child laughed on the playground across the street, her chest tightened, and she swore she could hear it. That same sound. Faint. Far away, but closer than it should be. She told herself she had survived, that she had beaten the hollow, outrun whatever lived in it, but deep down in the dark hours of the night, she knew the truth. You don't beat something like that. You escape it, for now. And you spend the rest of your life wondering if the shortcut is still watching, still waiting. Sometimes Emily dreamed she was back there, standing at the mouth of the path. And in the dream, she didn't turn away. She stepped forward, willingly, and the shadows welcomed her like an old friend. She always woke up gasping, always woke up shaking, always woke up asking herself the same question: what if I never really left? Because once the hollow touches you, once it marks you, it doesn't let go. And maybe, just maybe, it already has her. And that, my friends, is the story of the hollow shortcut. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, do me a favor, hit that like button. It helps this channel grow and make sure more people find these stories. Don't forget to subscribe for daily content and share this video with someone who loves a good scare. Thank you so much for listening and watching. There's another video recommended on your screen right now. Go check it out. And as always, I'll see you back here tomorrow.